Hey all you modding legends out there, welcome back to the Missing Detail Models channel. Going to do a quick demonstration of how we can do some brass work to recreate the Pitot tubes on the BF109s. So I have here, for reference, the Edward tooling, which we can see a nice step. It's basically a tube within a tube, and we can just about to see the step. Now I think if we make this out of brass, it'll be even nicer than that. I do actually have a whole bunch of spare cannons, but there's still some spare pitot tubes in the just here. Actually got 2 spares, but I think with the brass you can make it just a little bit sharper. So let's see what we can do. Now what I'm going to use is the amazing Albion Alloys telescopic tubes. They come in 2 sizes, with 2 usable sizes for 1/72. Mainly because the steps in the sizes is quite large. So even though you could get the right diameters for landing gear, the steps in between the sizes is too big and take quite a lot of iron. So yeah, so we have basically an odd pack which goes from 0.3, 0.5, 0.7 and 0.9 to the 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 and 1 mil. Now these might sound absolutely fiddly, well not fiddly but absolutely minuscule. They're noticeable different sizes, so having all these different sizes means you can replicate things like gun barrels, aerials, all sorts in so much more fine detail, suspension struts, whatnot. Okay, so I suppose I could be dead professional here. I would generally eye it, but these are quite useful tools. So this is a micrometer, which I keep at the bench. Just a cheap one from your man crash slash man that's a man crash slash middle aisles of your cheap European supermarkets. That's all we say on that. But yeah, so you put these up dead cheap. I just keep the battery separate so it doesn't run the battery down. Zero it in. We can come in here and we can measure. Okay, so check it zeroed. Zero it then. So we're looking at 0.6 mil for the outer. I'll just zero it again. That's good enough. And for the finer at the end of it is 0.4, I'd say. So we're looking at using the even pack. So like I said, I just whip the battery out. Quite helpfully the pack has or the box has a place for the battery. It's always one you should take it out, you never lose it. Dead useful tool, you can pick them up for probably a tenner. Like I say, you normally do by eye, but some things that you're really unsure of, it helps to give you a little bit of clarification. So 0.4 for the outer and 0.6, I say the outer for the end part, the inner you could say, and then 0.6 for the main part. Right, these come in lovely little tubes to keep them all safe in. We'll keep the example there because we can use it as Although I might have to make two because this one's looking like it's seen better days. Although bizarrely, even though there's spares in the kit, this is actually mounted to the wing. And I've not managed to snap it off yet. Okay. Now this one thing I don't have to hand is my cutting device. So I'm going to use me tool number 6, maybe 5-6 in the league table of current tools, and that is my homemade parallel cutter from a craft knife, also obtained from a cheap European. I say cheap, I think a better way of describing it is maybe a low quality European supermarket. Right. Another useful thing for the micrometer is to check the sizes of these. You keep your spare bits and stuff, so it's a good way of checking the size that you're using. There's only 4 in the pack though, so you can generally work it out. So we're going for a 4 and a 6, which are 2 medium sizes. No, the first 2 smaller sizes. So that's the smallest one. And that's the next smallest. Right, so looking at our example, we got about 5-6 mil, swell about 7-8 mil, cut off the smaller piece. Probably a good idea to start with is just to check what we're working with in terms of, you see where I've already cut this tube. He's not in best condition, so we can just get a Tamiya diamond file. I sometimes use a glass file as well. Not one of these. Probably again obtained from a poor quality not Eastern European, although that's where all the stuff comes from. A poor quality German supermarket. So this is one of your ladies' glass nail files. I like it because unlike you can sand this brass with your standard sanding pad. Because these are spongy, it won't give you a nice sort of squared off edge, and that's what we want. We want the edge to be noticeable to give it some finer detail than the plastic part. Okay, so just throw that down, and what you get sometimes is you get a bit of burring on the inside, so that's easily dealt with the use of a needle. Okay, is it going to focus? So just by putting it inside the needle inside the tube and just twisting it, you can just get rid of any of that burring. And then we'll have a little test fit. So you see, this is what we mean by telescopic. The tube fits in there. And what we want is, I'll just say 8 mil. Now the fin tubes will cut like nothing, so what we really need to avoid is deforming. So for that, I'm going to use, is it a tool? If it's a tool, it's up there in top 15 anyway. This is actually the cutout piece from what you might call like a Belfast sink, and this is glazed ceramic, so it's a perfect. So I use it for cutting photo etch on, which I don't want to deform. So real small parts, when you cut them on the mat, it will deform when you put a knife on them. So I use this. Okay, now I'm going to have to do this a bit lower. So hopefully you can see. If I move some of the clutter, it might just focus better. And like I say, this will cut super easy because it's so thin. Come down a little bit. So parallel car. Now I'll probably use this on the edges, so I'll probably start with it in the middle. What I do is I just roll it. So, and if you've lost the place where you've been cut, you can just drag the nail, the blade along the edge until it sits back in that groove. There we go. Super easy. And by cutting it almost in a circular direction like that, my spare part has maintained a nice square edge. Okay, so tool number 1 or 2. Now that edge might just be, again, might just have a slightly burred edge. So we don't want to sand the whole thing. I'm just gonna pass it over the cut edge so it slides into the tube there. Okay, so it fits in there. Okay, that's what we're trying to achieve. Should probably wear a black glove or something, then you can see the part against the black background. Maybe that's why I've seen that guy on the internet wearing black gloves all the time. But then I've seen him wearing them in public as well, so I don't know. Anyway, that piece is good to go. I've just laid it down so I can remember. There you can see, so my mating end is this end. I'm going to put the tube down here so I can see the direction I'm working in. So this is a time when black super glue is useful. Not it's never useful, it's always useful. It's absolutely amazing stuff. Plus the flexibility qualities of it, which aren't there for flexing, say. They're there to give it an extra strength and less brittleness, I think. Right, so we just need so little of this. And I might just touch around my finger to take the excess. Everything's lined up in the direction it needs to be fitted. I just want to leave okay, what I do, either with a knife, so I can use a knife or something, I can just drag away, and you can see that. I'm going in, I've actually already pretty much removed it all, but I'm going in just where the joint is, just gently dragging forward, taking the excess glue away. Okay, now we can compare to the original. Obviously, the brass is picking up more light, but there you go. It looks the right thickness. We know it's the right thickness. We measured it, and the step between the two pieces is precise and machined, whereas steps visible, but it's somewhat rounded, you could say, or smoothed. Okay, so we can work out how long we want this. Yeah, it might be worth just marking it with a pen. Right, so I've got it pretty much lined up with the rod part. So if we mark it to about here, that should give us a good amount of material to mount in the wing to get a nice fix in, and two, to enable you to angle it and not have it hanging out. You know what I mean? There's enough footing in there for it to mount in the wing to whatever angle you want it. Okay, so again, parallel cutter on my line, back and forth, simple as that. It cuts so easy, these brass tubes. It's only when you start getting to, well, yeah, like the yeah, the 0.8s and the 1 mils, you're gonna start having to reach for something more like this to chop it up. But then you just chop up a bit of excess, and then then file off the end, because it will distort the shape and flatten the tube. You just carve the piece you've intentionally left excess, and away you go. You've got a tube back in. Right, so we don't really need to look at the reference. They're very similar wings on the F and the G. These have extra blisters on, which probably, I think they changed the wheels. Stronger wheels, bigger wheels, something. Hence they had to have these domes, and then the F has a bigger dome on as well. Okay, so or blisters rather than dome. So yeah, so we could probably go ahead and just mount this bad boy up. Okay, I mean, I'd normally keep these separate and have them last, but because they are prone to scratching as you paint them, as you're handling the model. But hey, let's do it now. So let's check use this for reference. So we just want about a mil between the leading edge flap and the pitot. We'll just check the reference to check they put it on the same wing, same side. Yeah, it's on the left hand side. Right, now this can be, well, I now know that on this model, I'll just clean. So I've got a power line here. I don't know if it'll pick it up because I've got a lot of. It's a little bit. You see, it's the surface within the power line just isn't quite as consistent and smooth as I'd like. So I ran the knife in, the curved knife. I've run it in at an angle with no pressure on it, and then I'm going to just run it in at the opposite side, coming at another, say 40, 45 or 90-degree angle, whatever. I'm not even cutting it. I'm just running it along, and that small amount of plastic, which I think it's where it's melted and tried to squidge out, if you know what I mean. It's just this uneven surface in the power line. There you go. It's all good now. Okay, so as I was saying, On both of these kits, the wingtip is one piece. Now, say if it's a machine gun and I'm going to drill it into um, into the wing, which made up from two pieces, you have to be careful because the twist and action of the drill and the cutting can split that wing. So um, dry fit, double check. You normally have a bunch of spiky bits to stick on after painting and that, but really check that these parts fit. What I have done in the past is put the next size up piece of brass from this telescopic tube kit. I put the next size piece up, mounted a bit into the wing with careful sanding and directing it on the brass and not the plastic. You can get that to conform to the shape, and you know you've got a perfectly. I think I've done this with gun barrels, say on a Hellcat, where the guns incrementally stick out further and further out the wing. I think there's 450 cals in each wing. So there you want them all to be set at the right angle. So I drilled in the larger piece of tube to fit this piece of tube. So I knew I had the aperture exactly the right angle for every one. I wasn't have to jiggle them around, find they don't fit, re-drill, hence cracking then the seams. Right, so let's quickly drill this just to show you. Move the clutter so we get better focus. Right, so again, so we know the tube is 0.6, so we're going to need to start off with a 0.5. That's the biggest size Tamiya, like a milled shank style drill bit you can get. So you didn't do a few more up to a mil really, but anyway. But we can start off with this and just run a cheaper one in, one of those twisted wire ones. Okay, so watch he doesn't roll away and break the bit. So as with all drilling jobs, we need to start off with a pilot hole so we can accurately place where it's going. Okay, so let me try and show you this. Right, so we need about, so bear in mind it's the center of the hole. So once the piece is there, it's going to be a little bit, it's probably going to be about the, not the thickness of the pin, but not, we look at about a mil at the joint of the pin is how thick the pitot is going to be. Okay, so watch me damage it. Obviously it's very hard to get it on this wing plane. Just starting off with a little hole. You want to put no pressure on it, so then when the needle wants to drag off, it doesn't damage anything. Okay, like that did. So a little bit of damage there, so we can just go with a little bit of a file. That's fine. Let's try again. It could be one of those jobs where nicking it with a knife probably wouldn't be the worst idea. So once I've got it, once it will hold the tip or the prick, for want of a better word, inside in the plastic, once it will hold there, I can now rotate the needle and just expand the hole slightly. Okay. This way, sometimes it could be easier to start off with. I might well do this. I might just start off with a smaller drill bit to the 0.5 mil, which probably sounds crazy, but trying to line up a larger, blunter end, and like I said before, there is quite a lot of, I'll show you now. It sounds minuscule, but these are the differences in the drill bits. That's a 0.3, that's not even the smallest, the 0.2 is the smallest. A 0.3 compared to a 0.5. Right, so here, probably the two things to watch out for. We don't drop the drill bit and it breaks, i.e. drop the pin vise. And two, we need to make sure we drill parallel on both planes, parallel with the top, with the power line, say, and also parallel down through the wing, through the middle. Alright, so I'm supporting it on this finger here. And just gentle turns. Trying to see as much as I can how parallel that is, how level it is. Just stopping and just checking it's working. Okay, it seemed good, so I'm just going to press on. Well, this is quite some drilling because that's solid plastic, like I said, the end of that wing. Okay, we'd have to go to full depth before switching over to the 0.5. Start them off. So when I started now, I made sure you use parallel. He's going to project out the wing, parallel with the wing. And now I'm just going to check he lines up with that panel line. Just stopping, checking how we're doing. Okay, so we probably want a deeper hole than we need because that gives us a bit of wiggle room. So now I've got the alignment set by the first couple of mils of the hole. I can just rest the drill bit in it and it should carry on following that parallel line. As you can see, I'm resting both the drill bit, the wing, and the pin vise on my finger there. Otherwise, too much. If I twist, it can snap the drill bit. Trying to keep it parallel. Okay, that's fairly deep. Alright, so we weren't really expecting that to fit because we knew it was too small still. And we measured the tube we used was 0.6 of a mil, so all things being equal, we should be able to just select 0.6 mil from these cheaper. I say cheaper, and these are probably something you can get from your the man crash at the low quality German supermarkets. But for the price you pay, I mean, effectively what they look like is they look like. Let's have a comparison. Right now, you see there, it's got an actual milled drilling head on it. This is just twisted wire. Yeah, there's no actual. So this has almost got like a dimpled edge, which will fit into or sit in a pilot hole, and you can start drilling. This is the same width at the tip as it is down the shank. There's no shank down the shaft of it. Okay, but for what they are, for cheap drill bits, they serve their purpose well. As you can see, they're a little. We take a fair bit more drilling because it hasn't actually got that pointed tip drilling out. All we're really trying to do is enlargen the width of the hole. Now I'll keep all the swarf out because that's just going to block the hole up and not give us the fit we want. Now, checking always that that we're not going to poke out top or bottom of the wing. Okay, let's have a test fit. Okay, so we know he's got to go in a few mils, so we can just smooth the edge off, almost sharpen it just so it sits in there a little bit better. And it might go right at the back where there's a bit of debris maybe. Let's just check the reference, see how far it needs to go in. Okay, so quite a way. We might need to cut a piece off actually. Let's just trim it down a little. So back on the ceramic block. So take off a couple of mil. There we go. Cut so bar. Deburr the edge. Check against the reference. Okay, so we need to go in about 2.5 mil, which I'm pretty sure we now have this plenty. Yeah. Now that is such a snug fit, it pretty much doesn't even need glue. So, little tip here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it to work for them just for a minute. So I'll see if I can just just trying to mark it, which is not really doing. Okay. Right, so the other way so we're going to super glue it in, so I mean it will come back out really easy. Let's get the comparison so we can go in another mil. So little comparison. That is about right. There's a fraction more in there. Just compare it again. Okay, now he's there. Sorry. So now he's good. Right length. So what I'll do, on the underside now, paint should probably take this mark away. I'll just put a little scratch in the tube. Okay, you can kind of see once you take it out. Just put a little scratch there. You can only just about see. And I can push it into that point, and I know that's the line. Okay, a little bit of glue. Okay, checking alignments. Okay, so for you it's like that. Just checking it's aligned. Yeah, checking it's parallel with what I did there was super glue was wet around it, around the base of it. I just checking the right length. I could use that line I'd put in to just line it up. I think now that is, yeah, I could use a flat edge. That's not the flattest edge, but pretty good enough. Just to see how parallel we are. Okay. That's it. A lovely crisp brass Pitot. Right, set into one side. The other thing I'll quickly do as I got my jewels out is this is another figure I've been cleaning up. This is actually a resin CMK one. I tried to remember the name of the guy. I can't now. But I kind of, he's over there. But I never noticed before. I must have 20, 30 of these. I never noticed before. And the guy whose work I admire so much, I presume it's a gentleman, is M. Antfeist. Yeah, so this is the chap who sat on the wing of a 109. I mean, it looks like he's working on the MG32s on the top of, I think MG32s, or whatever the aviation version is called. Yeah, M. Antfeist is an amazing sculptor of 1/72 figures. I prefer his figures to the CMK 3D printed stuff. Right, so for some reason this came with separate shoes, which is a little bit irritating, sticking them on. And then separate head and separate arms, torso and body. Torso and body fit well. I'm not too sure. Yeah, okay. Let's see. I'm not too sure if I want to paint the arms separate. If I want to paint the arms separate, because some of the folds and highlights are going to be a little bit tricky down the side of his leg there. I'll pick out that detail. It's going to be quite tricky with an arm in the way. So I might keep the torso and lower half separate, and then I think there's like some flaps over. I'm still not too sure about. I'm guessing that's his belt on the top of the trousers. Anyway, so what I want to show you is just how I fit the head. Alright, so here's the separate head, already cleaned up. It's tempting to use the telescopic rod. It's probably best to use the cheaper, just standard 5mm rod. So I just always keep in my drill box. So 5mm rod, 5mm drill. Just a 5mm rod, 0.5mm rod, 0.5mm drill. You never see me using 0.5mm, 5mm rod or 5mm drills. Far too big. Okay, that's that. A pin. So to give ourselves the best chance, I'll just check in. I've got plenty of room there. It's when stuff's not gonna focus because there's too much clutter. Right, so I'm just checking I've got 5.5mm of room in here to drill. Which I have, so I just want to mark a pilot, just check in from all the angles, just in the best place in terms of, i.e. in the middle. This is resin, so this is super soft, so the marker goes in dead easy. And then this is where he's going to sit. So just test fitting the neck. See if there's anything weird going on in terms of where he wants to sit. It seems like he's right in the middle. So we'll go ahead and just mark him in the middle also. Now that hole could possibly be drilled out a bit bigger to give you a bit of wiggle room, and it'll just be taken up with glue. Okay, again just rotating the head around, making sure we're parallel and square. Couple of mils of depth. Like so. We can do the torso. I want to do the neck aperture. Now, again, it's trickier to see how parallel we can be. But get something similar to down the middle, or square of his shoulders should help. If we need to make the hole bigger to give us the wiggle, we'll do. Go a little bit deeper in, because the last thing you want to do is get these figures out for display as showed and accidentally knock the head and it falls off. That's why we're going to pin it. It gives you that touchability then, if you get me. Right. Standard rod. Just made sure the end wasn't burred out, if you know what I mean, before I cut it last. That really helps. Let's clean off. The can. Yeah, and I have other super glues here, but the black just makes every job of it so much easier because you can see where it's gone. So when I want to move the excess from around the bottom of the flat of the neck, say, or the underside of the neck, I can see it. Okay, so I know it's going to be a fair bit. It's just took a little bit off the end there. Slide it home. Make sure there's nothing on my fingers that's going to contaminate it. And I use a glue or my knife or no glue. Sharp edge, knife, tweezers, and nail, whatever's to hand, just to take off the extra bit of glue that squeezes out. Okay. Oh yeah. Sometimes you can do it whilst it's wet. Other times it's best off just doing it when it's dry. So he's in there. Pliers. Put a fair bit of extra on him. We don't want to lose him in the painting process. So, and he is actually going to be painted separately. Not that having, not it's going to help you paint the face. Basically what it means is going to help you do is to paint that collar detail. I mean, you're getting around the collar without getting on the back of the neck, sort of thing. So over there, we just clean up the swarf out of that hole. It's done. Put these mounting pins work well for also painting, painting rods. But for the torso here, it's not really. There's a big area there that can be glued together, so it's not really fallout. This is just to enable me to mount it to the cork. So I haven't really got to worry about cleaning that. That's that one. Right. Two other little quick jobs. It's the arms. I just need a little. Go on there. So I just needs a little. You just see there's still a little bit of the casting block. Just sand them down. Try and keep it parallel as possible. I mean, what will probably work better here actually is a hard glass file because it's not going to distort. There you go. Now this, I'm not sure if you can see. Okay. Yeah, 5mm is going to work. Now the arm gets quite skinny quite quick. So we're not going to push our luck. 1.5mm is going to be enough. Any more and we run the risk of poking out the forearm or the inner arm. Right. Take the swarf out. So this time, this is for final mounting purposes because we don't want it. We want it to be sort of knockable. So if we accidentally knock it and getting out for show, we don't break an arm off. You don't want to be able to show it and to glue an arm back on when all the pressure's against you. You quite often find that time in the morning in a cold venue. No matter what glue you use, it ain't gonna set. Not no time quick anyway. Not no time. Yeah, not in any quick time. So I just use my nail just to run the excess glue off. So when I'm mounting these into the torso, then I work out if they're going to be in the way. It could just be easy to leave them separate actually, and paint the whole torso with the legs, and just slide these in at the last minute. I'll check the sort of. I might have to mock in together just to check how he's gonna work on the scale model. You don't want arms that look like they're working. You don't want working arms floating away from what they should be touching. That makes sense. Also, leg parts. Now you want to keep your pins away, but you also want to keep. I just left stuff. Normally, as soon as I've stopped using it, it goes straight back in the tin because that 0.1mm wire would effectively go into your body like a needle. So I just keep that stuff away. And there is my wired up body parts. Okay, I hope that was useful. Again, please like and subscribe. I'd love a comment. I'd love to get some interaction going. It'd also really help the channel. So that's it for me. Don't forget to not leave your missing detail out because it sticks out like a sore asshole.